to my January 2023 bullet journal setup. It's been a while since I've uploaded a plan with me, since the past few months have really just been stuffed with so much chaos and clutter, but since it is the new year, I really wanted to start January off with a bang, so this month's plan with me is going to be a red wine theme, just as a little toast to the new year. I am actually just using the same bullet journal as last year, since I still have quite a few pages left that I'd like to fill out, and I think it would be a bit wasteful to buy a brand new journal when it's not necessary. So anyway, here I am starting off by sketching out a looping abstract splash of wine, spilling out of a wine glass in the middle of the page. I wanted to keep most of my illustrations fairly minimal this year to save time and to make bullet journaling really doable in the long term. So I just kept the overall shape really simple and added a small oval frame at the back, which I will be cutting out later. And at the foot of the wine glass, I'm just adding a few clusters of grapes. These are just hanging out on the edges of the border so I can pack some more color in here for the first layer. After everything is mapped out and sketched, I'm just going to fill in the wine glass with some bright, delectable colors and hues. I decided to go in with some beige as a sort of undertone before going over it with brighter, more vivid shades of orange and red. To add more depth and realism to the wine, I made sure to really increase my pressure as I came to some of the shadows, and I focused a lot on strengthening the intensity to really enhance the contrast between the light and the darkness. Here you can see that the sun decided to come and peek into the room, while I'm just adding some red accents to highlight both the wine and the glass itself. Now I'm going to be moving on to the grapes, and like always, I'm just starting off by adding a light base before moving in with the actual colors. I don't know, I just really like having a lighter background layer before truly committing to setting down the colors. Sometimes I think I get a bit nervous and worry about ruining the piece when I add color, so I think just working in small increments of intensity helps to mitigate that fear a bit. So the colors that I'm laying on top are purples, pinks, and browns, as well as some reds, just to throw in some variety. Similarly to the wine glass, I'm just going to juggle between these colors and slowly work my way up in terms of pressure to create more depth within each of the berries. In general, I'm sticking to more of a darker solid color near the right and a lighter layer to represent light on the left. Once all of the grapes are filled in, I'm just adding some little branches weaving between the grape clusters in order to connect them, and then I'm coloring them in with some brown before finally cutting the oval out. With the first page cut out, I'm just going to sketch another little wine glass on the page below. And for my favorite part, I'm adding the little splash shooting up from the wine glass, making sure that it can be seen from the first page. In terms of colors, I'm just repeating the same process of slowly building up colors from pale orange to red to deeper shades of brown. I wanted this wine glass to be a bit darker in comparison to the first one, just to add a bit of contrast, so I'm using a lot more black just to emphasize the shadows and the richness of the color. Finally, for the glass itself, I'm just going in with a bit of beige, red and black near the bowl and the stem and the base, before also cutting this page out. Moving on to the last layer, I'm basically going to be adding a bunch of little grapes to fill in the gaps where the pages are cut out in the layers above. So I have a few clusters near the top of the oval, a few more on the bottom, and lastly, a small bunch on the right side. In terms of colors, I'm essentially repeating what I did on the first page, where I laid down a myriad of layers, each one slightly darker than the last. I'm also just playing around with some different shades of purple, pink, and red to create an assortment of color for the grapes. Finally, once all of the grapes are filled in, I'm just going in with the same brown color for the branches in between each berry. Flipping back to the first page, I'm now going to move on to my January heading and quote. At the top, I'm writing 2023, followed by the month, and then the quote, "The new year stands before us, like a chapter in a book, waiting to be written." Now that the cover page is all done, I'm going to flip over to my January calendar spread. Here, I just outlined all of the dates and lines to create my calendar, and as always, I've just left this small strip of white on the right side of the page so that I can add a small, quick illustration. So I just sketched out a small cocktail glass with a little lemon or orange slice on the side. I'm not really sure yet. But in terms of coloring, I decided to use watercolor in my bullet journal for the first time since I figured it would be a bit quicker. So I'm starting off with this light coral paint and then slowly building up the layers with some darker pink, some red, and some orange. For the fruit on top, I guess I decided to make it a slice of orange since I filled it in with some red, pink, and of course, orange. I actually really enjoyed using watercolor. It was definitely a lot faster to fill in, and the paint dried quickly enough that it didn't take up extra time, so I think I'll definitely try to use more watercolor in the future. Now I'm just going to move on to my book tracker and my habit tracker. Here I'm first outlining a circle in the middle of the 2 pages to get a rough idea of the size before going in and drawing another vine full of grapes. Unfortunately, I lost some of the footage during the stage, but essentially I'm just creating tiny clusters of fruit dangling from a tangle of branches. And as for the color, I'm beginning with a light wash of purple and then slowly building up darker layers in order to create dimension. Finally, I'm filling in the leaves with some light green for the base, followed by darker shades of brown near the stems and outer edges. I'm also going in with the same brown to outline all of the branches. Here is the final flip through of my January theme. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful 2023 and an amazing new year.